this video, I want to show how development of Pennsylvania Marcellus shale gas has changed the economics of plastic production, increasing the risks for more plastic pollution and increased climate change. Marcellus shale is named after Marcellus, New York, near where it outcrops the surface. Marcellus Shale Formation is one of the largest shale formations in the U.S. It underlies parts of New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and West Virginia. Penn State geologists estimate that the Marcellus Formation could hold up to 500 trillion cubic feet of natural gas, making it the second largest natural gas field in the world. Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection tracks Marcellus wells using the unconventional well designation. They have recorded over 21,000 wells as of May 2019. Each red dot on this map is one of the Marcellus wells. Hydraulic fracking is used to extract natural gas from Marcellus shale. Fluid is injected into the well under high pressure to fracture the deep shale. The shale gas then flows to the well. The photo on the right shows a typical Pennsylvania well pad with a drilling rig and supporting structures. Pennsylvania shale gas development has expanded dramatically in the past decade as more Marcellus fracking wells have been drilled. The gas industry measures gas well production in 1,000 cubic feet using the abbreviation MCF. Pennsylvania gas production has increased from 1 trillion MCF in 2011 to 5.3 trillion MCF in 2017. That's a 403% increase in just 6 years. Now that we have all this shale gas, what do we do with it? Marcellus shale gas is termed a wet gas by the gas industry because it contains both methane, called dry gas, and natural gas liquids. The natural gas liquids include ethane, propane, and butane. Let's look at the ethane to see how it fits into plastic production. Ethane from Marcellus shale gas is used to make plastic polymers in a multi-step process that separates the ethane from the natural gas, then cracks the ethane into ethylene, which in turn is polymerized into polyethylene. Ethane production in the U.S. has increased threefold between the early 2000s and 2017. This ethane production increase is having a major impact on plastic production both in the U.S. and worldwide. Ethylene is used to make three major plastic polymers: polyethylene, polyvinyl chloride, and polyethylene terephthalate. In the past, ethane was produced from naphtha, an oil-based feedstock. The availability of ethylene from shale gas production in large quantities and lower cost is changing global plastic production. In their 2015 report, the American Chemistry Council states that, quote, because of shale gas, it is more effective to produce ethylene in the U.S. than just about anywhere else in the world. Royal Dutch Shell is constructing a major ethane cracker plant in Beaver County, Pennsylvania. This project demonstrates the changing economics of plastic production and provides an indication of where plastic production expansion will occur in the future. This $6 billion project is expected to come online in early 2020. It will produce 1.6 million tons of polyethylene per year. Why did Shell build their ethane cracker plant in Pennsylvania? Company representatives have outlined 3 key considerations that went into their decision to build in Pennsylvania. Consideration 1 was proximity to low-cost ethane feedstocks. This map shows Marcellus shale gas wells in red. Clearly, Pennsylvania has a majority of gas wells providing a ready supply of ethane. Consideration 2 was proximity to customers. Shell found that 70% of polyethylene demand was within 700 miles of their plant site. Consideration 3 was tax incentives. Shell's plant would provide 6,000 construction jobs and an estimated 600 plant operation jobs. Pennsylvania lawmakers negotiated tax credits that would amount to an estimated $1.6 billion over 25 years, an average of $66 million in tax credits per year. These tax credits are equivalent to $41,000 per job year. What does the Shell experience tell us about what's in store for Pennsylvania and plastic pollution if we stick with a business-as-usual approach? Chevron, another giant petrochemical company, owns 600 square miles of Marcellus shale drilling rights in Pennsylvania. They have laid out a plan of what they call, quote, ideas for action, unquote. That proposes the construction of 10 natural gas power plants, 3 to 5 multi-billion-dollar ethane crackers like the Shell project, and 3 to 5 plants to turn propane into propylene, all in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is in the middle of a shale gas boom that makes plastic feedstocks cheap and available. Shell, Chevron, and others want to invest billions of dollars in new and expanded plastic production facilities. They plan to increase plastic production by 50% in the next 10 years. Much of the plastic would be exported to developing countries that do not have adequate solid waste management services, further compounding our plastic pollution problem. Why not use these investment funds to develop renewable energy and reusable products instead of fossil fuel and single-use plastic? Do we really need more plastic production capacity? Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and the world already have a plastic pollution problem. It has taken a while, but we now know that plastic lasts forever, and plastic is accumulating in the environment, threatens fish, birds, and wildlife. There is now growing concerns about the impacts of plastic pollution on public health. I have been studying plastic trash in southeastern Pennsylvania creeks and rivers for several years and have found an incredible amount of plastic bags, plastic food wrappers, soda, and water bottles in our creeks and rivers. These following photos show the type of plastic that washes into our creeks and rivers on its way to the ocean. Plastic bags are the poster child for single-use plastic. We all get several of them every day. Unfortunately, we also see plastic bags blowing in the wind, stuck on trees, or in our creeks. The true cost of single-use plastic is the production cost plus the disposal cost. Manufacturers and retailers provide single-use plastic items because they are only paying the production cost of their plastic packaging and ignore the disposal costs, putting the burden on consumers, local governments, and the environment. Let's look at the economics, the false economics of single-use plastic grocery bags. Retailers purchase them in bulk quantities for about 4 cents each. Since the production cost is so low, they provide them to customers for, quote, free, unquote. Cleanup volunteers and city sanitation departments know that these bags are really not free. Cities must pay millions of dollars per year to clean up these free single-use plastic bags. With a simple calculation, we can see that cleanups can cost 15 cents per littered plastic bag, much more than the retailer's cost. Manufacturers and retailers pass single-use plastic trash disposal costs on to cities and the environment. Plastic pollution is ugly, disheartening, depressing, and a threat to the quality of life for many urban residents. It's also a threat to our oceans and human health. Ongoing research tells us that microplastics can change soil properties and affect plant performance. We are just beginning to get research results on the long-term effects of plastic pollution on human health. Plastic also plays a role in climate change. In 2019, the production and incineration of plastic will add more than 850 million metric tons of greenhouse gases to the atmosphere, equivalent to the emissions from 189 500-megawatt coal power plants. If plastic production and use grow as currently planned, by 2030, these emissions could reach 1.3 gigatons per year, equivalent to the emissions released by more than 295 new 500-megawatt coal-fired power plants. By 2050, the accumulation of these greenhouse gas emissions from plastic could reach over 56 gigatons, 10 to 13% of the entire remaining carbon budget. Now we know. Fracking Marcellus shale provides ethane, making plastic production even cheaper. Increased plastic production is a byproduct of increased Marcellus shale production. Manufacturers and retailers promote single-use plastic because they are only responsible for production costs, not disposal costs. Plastic pollution is threatening our environment, oceans, birds, fish, and wildlife. Plastic pollution poses a threat to our health. Plastic production greenhouse gas emissions make the 1.5 degree C climate change goal almost impossible to achieve. We must all take steps to eliminate single-use plastic and cut our greenhouse gas emissions for the sake of the environment.